What's up, everybody? Welcome back to SoCal Exploring. My name is Scott, and you are watching the #1 stop for all things theme park related in the Southern California area. How are you guys doing today? Today, I'm going to be breaking down my top 5 Universal Studios Hollywood rides of all time. Now, this will include attractions because there's some in there that aren't actual rides that you'd get on, but they're attractions from previous years of Universal Studios Hollywood. So we're going to be breaking down my top 5 favorite rides of all time, and I'm going to tell you a quick little sentence on why that belongs in the place that I ranked it. This is a very good list. I had to think long and hard about this because there's just so many great Universal Studios Hollywood rides that I had to think which ones were my exact favorite, but I'm very, very confident about this list, and I'm very happy with this list. So I'm going to share it with you guys today. If you're new here, subscribe with those bell notifications on. Follow us on social media at SoCal Exploring Media on Instagram and at SoCal Exploring on Twitter. You can check out our podcast, the Keep Exploring Podcast, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. Our podcast is on there. Just type in Keep Exploring Podcast and visit our website, SoCalExploring.com. We're starting off with number 5, which is Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey. The Wizarding World of Harry Potter opened in 2016 in Hollywood, and that is when the attraction opened up as well. I really do love this attraction a lot. I think it's one of the most technologically advanced attractions that Universal has ever brought to one of its theme parks. It's so much fun, and despite riding it tons and tons of times, I still am so amazed on how many effects and practical effects and technological effects are implemented into this ride, especially the scene with the giant tree from the film. I haven't seen the Harry Potter films in a while, but I think it's called the Weeping Willow. I think that's what it's called. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that thing is huge. That's in a huge show building, and especially it's not just the ride that's amazing to me. It's getting to walk through Hogwarts and the queue line and everything, and seeing the different projection mapping going on through the queue line. It is absolutely beautiful. I love it. I love everything about this ride, and that is why it is in my number 5 spot. Number 4 goes to Jurassic Park The Ride, which opened up in 1996 and closed in 2018 to make way for its new version, Jurassic World The Ride. But I'm going to say this right now, Jurassic Park over Jurassic World. I love Jurassic Park. It was scary. It was fun. Jurassic World it ain't it. It has had too many problems. I still love the attraction nonetheless, and I'm happy that they made the change because it did need an updated version of the ride, especially with the new film series Jurassic World. But I much rather prefer Jurassic Park over Jurassic World the ride. I just think Jurassic Park had a lot more to offer. It showed you a lot more. There's so much more to see, including the giant lagoon of dinosaurs. It was absolutely beautiful. And I love, the only thing that I changed about Jurassic Park the ride is the final show scene. I do like seeing the Indominus Rex there now and Blue the animatronic. That's the only thing that I'd change. I think Jurassic World wins over Jurassic Park in that final show scene before you go down the drop. But everything else about the ride, I love. It was such a fun ride. It was so peaceful too. And it was absolutely terrifying. Especially if you're afraid of giant dinosaurs. I know dinosaurs look friendly, but I know some people are afraid of dinosaurs. So it was terrifying and immersed you more in the attraction. I absolutely love Jurassic Park the ride, and I wish I could ride it again till this day, which we still can at Universal Orlando, but who knows how long Jurassic Park will stay there until it's turned into Jurassic World. Number 3 is Universal's House of Horrors. That opened up in 2008 and closed in 2014. I'm sorry, it opened up in 2007. The House of Horrors was an all-day walk-through Halloween attraction. So what I mean by all day is it was exactly like The Walking Dead. You could walk through it every single day that you went to Universal Studios Hollywood, all throughout the day, and you could enjoy it all throughout the year while Halloween Horror Nights was sleeping. But at least we had the House of Horrors to get us excited for Halloween Horror Nights because we could go to that whenever we want. I loved the House of Horrors. In fact, it was like one of my very first haunted attraction encounters. I went through this as a kid and I was terrified nonetheless, but I loved it. I loved seeing all the horror classic monsters that I watched in movies because I was a sick and twisted kid like that where I watched horror movies when I was like 8 years old. I loved it. The sets were amazing. I just wish that Universal would have kept up with it a little bit more, and it wasn't as popular because I feel like haunted daytime attractions aren't as popular as they would be at night or for Halloween Horror Nights, which is really unfortunate because the House of Horrors was a success in my book and a success in all the different haunt fans' book. But as far as the general public goes and as far as the general theme park guest goes, it wasn't popular and it didn't spark their interest enough to keep it open. I do love the House of Horrors though. It still has a special place in my heart, especially since during Halloween Horror Nights they would use that building, the show building, to do a different maze. They'd use the same sets and everything, but they'd re-theme it for a Halloween Horror Nights maze. Like there was a face-off maze there. There was a Universal Monsters remix there that Figure did the music for. I really, really love and miss Universal's House of Horrors. I wish it would come back at least for one. Well, it can't come back for one day because the building's demolished and now it's a Starbucks and a gift shop. But I wish there was just some way that I could walk through it one more time. I love it. The words can't express how much I loved the House of Horrors, and I was one of the ones that was super sad when it went away. And I wasn't one of the ones that was like, get rid of it, let's get something new like The Walking Dead. I wanted House of Horrors to stay. I just wanted Universal to update it. Number 2 is the King Kong Encounter, which started in 1986 and ran until 2008 when it burned down very sadly in a fire. The soundstage burned down as well as many other things in the Universal backlot. As some of you guys may remember, that fire was huge and it took away one of the greatest tour attractions of all time, the King Kong Encounter. This thing was terrifying. It was absolutely terrifying. You'd go through the tram, you'd go into the burning city, and you'd see a huge animatronic of King Kong. And that thing was scary. Even as an adult, I'm sure I'd get scared by it today. I loved it just for that sole reason. It puts you in such a cool atmosphere and such a scary atmosphere, and one of the coolest things that you could experience on the tram tour. And we don't have stuff like that anymore to this day on the studio tour. There's not a lot of big scale stuff like that. We have King Kong 360 3D, but it's just not as good. It's not really good at all in my personal opinion. I loved King Kong Encounter. It was terrifying and such an impressive animatronic to be so close to. I mean, his face was literally right next to you. You could almost reach out and touch it if you had super long arms. I really do miss it just for the sole purpose of that giant animatronic. It was huge, it was terrifying, and I loved the whole atmosphere in that King Kong Encounter. But rest in peace to King Kong, or rest in peace to the King Kong Encounter due to the fire in 2008. And my favorite attraction of Universal Studios Hollywood of all time was Back to the Future, the ride, which is now replaced by the Simpsons attraction, a not so good attraction compared to Back to the Future. Back to the Future, the ride opened in 1993 and closed in 2007. I was only able to ride it a couple times because I was still a kid at the time, barely going to theme parks. But let me tell you, when I rode that attraction, I loved it. It was so much fun. I love the Back to the Future movies, so it made me feel more immersed into the movies. And it was just so much fun. It just had a different atmosphere compared to the Simpsons ride. I remember vividly some of the pre-show stuff and some of the aspects of the attraction, and watching it back on YouTube from old POVs, I just miss it so much. It has such a special place to my heart, and when it closed down, it was very sad because it's like, well, that was my favorite ride, and it still is my favorite ride of all time at Universal Studios Hollywood. And the Simpsons ride, I was hoping that, it could be somewhat like Back to the Future, and it is. There's a lot of aspects that are like Back to the Future. However, it doesn't feel like it at all. The Simpsons ride is not fun. It's fun here and there, but it's just not fun anymore. It's not well updated, and it's been around for a while. I'm hoping that they get rid of it soon. Back to the Future, though, I love that attraction, and that is why it is my number 1 favorite ride of all time at Universal Studios Hollywood. But that was my list of favorite rides at Universal Studios Hollywood of all time. Let me know down in the comments section what your guys' list is. I'd love to see your guys' list and see if you agree with me on some of the rankings that I did. As you can see, all of them except for one are from the past and have been closed down. That's because Universal Studios isn't the same today. A lot of the attractions back then just topped the newer attractions. Don't get me wrong, tons of the attractions like Secret Life of Pets, which I still have not ridden yet because Universal has pushed their opening date till April 19th. They were originally scheduled to open on April 1st, but now they're opening on April 19th because of the whole COVID-19 situation. But like Secret Life of Pets, I feel like it's going to be an extremely good ride. However, I would much rather take Back to the Future or the King Kong Encounter back over Off the Leash. I just feel like Universal isn't the same anymore. There's still tons and tons of good stuff that Universal Studios Hollywood has to offer, but I have to give it to the old version of Universal Studios Hollywood. I loved it, and I loved a lot of the attractions back then. But yeah, let me know your guys' list down below in the comment section. Subscribe if you're new here with those bell notifications on, and follow us on social media at SoCal Exploring Media on Instagram and at SoCal Exploring on Twitter. You can check out our podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to your podcast with the Keep Exploring podcast, and visit our website SoCalExploring.com. My name is Scott. You've been watching SoCal Exploring. Positivity is key, and most importantly, remember to keep exploring. Peace.